Hi everyone, welcome to Boldmere St Michael's Football Club. Thanks very much to the club for such a warm welcome. We're here today for today's FIFA Women's World Cup squad announcement. I'm delighted to be joined by Sarina Wiegman. In terms of structure, we will end with 3 or 4 questions under embargo for this evening. I will give you the heads up as and when that embargo element comes into play. And we will begin with Anton at Sky Sports News, please.
Thank you, David. Hi, Sarina. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
How hectic, how stressful have the last 24 hours been?
Well, actually, the last week was a little stressful. The last period, because we had to make hard decisions. And it's nice for the ones who are in, it's not nice for the ones who are not in. So, yeah, we've had very good conversations with the technical staff. We follow the players really well. But it has been really hard.
Tough decisions?
Yeah, of course. Because, we've been with a bigger squad too in spring. And so we've seen lots of players. And actually, they all work so hard to get in the squad. And lots of them do play really well, but you have to pick 23.
Let's start with the players that are in the squad. Lucy Bronze and Millie Bright. Lots of fans will be very happy to see their names on the list. But how fit are they?
Yeah, well, Lucy's fit. She's fully in training. She's getting ready for the final this Saturday. And Millie is in a good place, so we're positive. She's still building, but we have some time. And so she'll be with us too, but we need to build a little more. But it looks good.
How important is it to have those two, fit and match fit, going into the tournament?
Well, of course you want them in because they had an important role for the team. And they had impact, but you never know what happens in football. So we think of the squad now. Who do we have? What positions can the players play? And what's the next step? So we always prepared with them and without them.
Without Leah Williamson being in the squad, first off, how disappointing is it that she isn't there? And secondly, who's going to captain?
Yeah, of course, for her, most of all for her, is very, very disappointing and very sad. But that's the same for Fran and the same for Beth Mead. And but you have to move on too. So this is unfortunately also part of top sport, that you can get injured. It's a physical game, and you hope, of course, that to make that risk as small as possible. But it can happen, and someone else steps up, and that gives an opportunity for someone else to show and take responsibility. And that's how we approach it. And as you've seen about the captain's role, we had Leah, and then the vice captain was Millie, and Mary has done too. So that's how we approach it now.
So Millie will, at the moment, lead.
Yeah,
You mentioned Beth. Was there ever a chance that Beth Mead could have been in this squad?
No, I don't think so. It's Beth. She's so positive, and she's going really well. But we said the time schedule she had, we would have taken so many risks to try and get her to the World Cup, and also she had a personal situation too. So that all added that very shortly or very early we said, well, we're not going to take that risk. I'm not willing to take that risk to push her too much, and then she gets injured again, because we also have to take care of players and do what's smart and not do what's a little bit naive.
Caught a few of us by surprise by naming Bethany England, who we haven't seen in an England squad since September. Why did you decide to make that call?
Because of her performances. Of course, she was at Chelsea. She didn't get the minutes, and we always say, if you're really competing for a position, and she didn't build that much credits for us because we hardly saw her play. And then she made a move, and she started playing in a hard situation because Tottenham was having a hard time. But how she did and how she performed, and also how much resilience she showed, I think that's what made us make the decision to get her in the squad.
Final question from me. This squad is lacking obviously some senior players, a couple of retirements as well. It's quite different to the squad from the Euros. How different a squad is this going to be for you to coach, and expectation-wise as well going into the tournament?
Yeah, we approach it always like we want to be at our best, and that's what we're going for right now too. Yes, you're talking a little bit in transition now, so with some changes in the team, but I still think we're really good and we're very talented players, and we're just going to make sure that we're going to be at our best, and then we see how far we get. But I think we're still in a pretty good place.
Thanks, Anton. We'll go to Joe Curry at BBC, please.
Hi, Sarina.
Hi.
You talked about there being some difficult phone calls and some phone calls I'm sure you enjoyed a lot more. Was there one phone call to a player that you were telling them they were in the squad that really stood out as being a nice moment for you?
Yeah, of course, everyone you call, it's a nice moment when it's a positive message. And for some, it was a little bit expected, for some a little less. So I'm not going to talk about individual phone calls, but we had some very nice ones and some players who were very anxious about this moment.
For Katie Robinson, it's obviously been a difficult season at Brighton. How impressive is it that a player's pushed away into a squad when she's been playing for a club that's really struggled?
Yeah, I think we've all seen that she's very talented, but she has made a difference at Brighton. So she has had some decisive games for the club, and that was hard. And with us in our camp, she really showed quality too. So she just made us choose her.
There are 6 players in your squad who have never been to a major tournament. How do you help them get their head around the experience of going somewhere like Australia, New Zealand and playing in a World Cup?
Yeah, well, of course, at one point it's always the first time for players. Just what we're trying to do is just focus on football, but also know what's happening around you. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I saw already 850,000 tickets are sold, so it's going to be a big event. But also bring it back. So like what you see today here, all these little kids, and they start playing football. That's how everyone started too, and try to get that little kid in yourself on the pitch and play. And try to prepare them as good as possible. So what's your task? What's your role in the team? Go out there and go play football and enjoy the moment too.
Today is, of course, all about the squad announcement, but the government released a statement saying they're concerned that there's no broadcast deal in place in the UK and other European countries. How worried are you at the moment about that situation?
Well, I'm not worried about that situation. I think FIFA and the broadcaster will solve that before the tournament starts. I've heard England is a pretty good place. What I've seen, how it has been covered here in England since I came in, is just really good. So I expect that to be that way again. And I'm focusing on the football part, and I expect it to be solved before the tournament starts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. We'll take questions from the floor. If you are asking a question, please introduce yourself with your name and the outlet you work from. We'll go to the gentleman with the mic.
Yeah. Hi, Sarina. Hi, sorry.
Hi.
Mark from ITV News. Nice to see you.
Hi.
With the key personnel that you're missing ahead of the World Cup and obviously being European champions, do you think there's a target on England's back that perhaps hasn't been there before?
Well, I'm not thinking of that. I think of our opportunities and how do we get prepared. And yes, we have some injuries, but I still think we have a very good squad. We have very good depth in the squad. And now we're talking about the 23 we have and some standby players who will train with us. And we get ready with this team. And I think we'll be good prepared. I think there'll be in the World Cup also teams that are really good too, just like us. And we'll see what brings us.
Rachel Daly's had an incredible season in Super League. Is she the kind of player that can lead England's line in the World Cup?
Yes, she can, like some other players. We've seen her, of course, she has a very good season, and she's done really well. She's played for us now as a number 9, but also in the back, and her versatility helps the team.
Just a final one on Leah Tissier. A lot of raised eyebrows, perhaps, that she hasn't made the main squad. How close was she to making the main squad?
Yeah, of course, she's really close. She's also one of the standby players that will train with the team. That was a hard call, with all the defenders we had to think about. And, she didn't get there just with the 23. We also see her a little bit more as a right fullback. She plays at club centre-back, and she has a very good season at whole Manchester United. But this is the choice we made.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. We'll go to the front row.
Yeah. Hi, Sarina.
Hi.
It's Jane from Channel 4 News. You mentioned it all starts with kids on a pitch. The Euros obviously fueled an explosion of interest in the girls' and women's game. How much pressure do you feel in this tournament to continue growing that interest in the girls' and women's game?
Yeah, I think what brought that is performing. So what I really focus on is that we perform at our best, and that we are kind of a little close, that we're approachable for our fans, for kids, for everyone who's interested in the women's game. And so just behave like normal, I would say. Behave like normal, do your best, get connected with fans, and perform at your highest level. And hopefully that will bring us very far in the tournament, because as you know, we all have a dream too, going to the World Cup. And that's what brings the energy and the positive vibe around the team, and hopefully that inspires girls, boys, but also adults.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Rob on the front row.
Hi, Rob Harris from Sky News. Good luck for the tournament.
Thank you.
What was the toughest decision you had to take?
Oh, there were a couple. I don't think you can say that's one tough decision, because you're talking about individuals, you're talking about positions, but you're also talking about combinations and balance in the team. So when you pick one player, that has consequences for other parts in your team. So that has been really hard. But I wouldn't just pick out one, because it all relates to each other.
And what was Millie's reaction when you told her that she would be the captain, and what are the qualities she brings as captain?
I haven't told her she would be the captain. That's how we have been all the time. We just talked about football, and we talked she was selected, and where she's at right now. We have been in contact all the time. Where she's at right now, and in her rehab, and we move forward with that. So we haven't really spoken about that yet. We have a couple of weeks, and she'll be fine. She's done before.
Thanks, Rob. Yes.
Hi, Sarina.
Hi.
We talk a lot in the women's game about sort of congestion, the number of fixtures. Just what's your feeling and reaction to it being a 23-player squad instead of 26, which it was obviously last summer and for the men's tournament in Qatar in the winter?
Yeah, we've spoken about that also at the draw in October last year. And we wanted to bring it to 26. I don't think the 26 make the injuries risk lower. I think you then have more options when something happens, and you can keep someone in the squad and take care of it a little better, or give a little more rest with more options you have. They didn't make the choice. We're ahead of that. We knew that is a fact, so I don't want to go back to that discussion again. The congested schedule, yeah, we all know that we really have, when we move forward, we have to do a better job altogether to make it a little better in all stages, and get some better scheduling for the players.
And for the Euros, you named 28 and then cut it down to 23. What was the reasoning this time, naming the 23 and having the standby? Was there things you learned from naming the squad for the last tournament?
No, that basically has to do with the time schedule and traveling to the other side of the world. So when we had the Euros, we were in England all the time, and we could have a training period and then give clarity. Now, there's a holiday now, of course. Well, not for the Barcelona and Wolfsburg players, but and when we come into camp, we go really quickly to Australia, and we want to give clarity on that. So you don't have the time to first train and then make the decision, because you're basically already in Australia.
And just lastly on Leah and filling the void that she's left, does the USA game last October, it was, when you were in that camp without her, does that help you prepare for going into a major tournament without your captain?
Well, I think basically all the games we played helped us, because we have seen many players also in the Arnold Clark Cup. So we have seen different players, different combinations of players, which gave us information. Then, of course, we also watched the games at the end of the season. That was very tight, very exciting for our neutral ones to watch. And then when we come into camp, we see how players are, how they come in, and how we can build further with the team.
Thanks, Simon. We'll go to Tom, just behind you. Thanks, Simon.
Hi, Sarina.
Hi.
Tom Gary from the Daily Telegraph. I just wanted to ask you about the diversity of the squad. I know you've spoken previously about you'll pick the best players available, but there will be some people who will look at the squad and see 22 white players out of 23. And so do you understand why some people might be concerned that they maybe don't feel represented by the Lionesses, and what do you hope to be done in the future that can change longer term?
Yeah, of course I understand that people look at it like that, and I really hope that will change. But that won't change overnight. We've spoken about this a couple of times now. And yes, right. I'm like, for the short term, I know the FA is doing lots of things to discover my talents, let girls play, to get more. To get everyone who wants to play football, whatever background you have or wherever you come from, that you have access to football. I think what our squad did, our players did after the Euros, have access in schools, which now has a big result. Hopefully that brings more girls with different backgrounds into the game. So in the future we have more players from different backgrounds in the national team too. But for now, I think that takes a little more time.
Of course. And can I also ask you, please, about your plans for preparation? Because there was a statement from FIFA and the European Club Association about a new window for the start of camps, but we understand you're still hoping to start on Monday the 19th of June. Can you give us an update on that and why you feel it's important to start earlier?
Yeah, well, we already had this plan from November last year. So how we came to this plan is, of course, we have our principles, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise and the experience. So we made the plan starting the 19th. We spoke about that with the captains group. Then we spoke about it with the players and the clubs. Know that we are in contact with clubs now, and it's very constructive, but it's not finalized yet. And you know, when you're in a top sport environment, when you go to a World Cup, it's the highest level and the most density, volume, so you have to be at your highest level. We also know that if you have more than 2 weeks rest, which if you would start later on, they have 26 days of no football, that's not good for the preparation for the player. So in welfare of player, that wouldn't be good. So that's why we want to start the 19th, so they have 2 weeks off. Then they start an IDP, so they can spend some more time with family also, having a family environment, because we're thinking about getting fresh, getting fit. And then we really have to start playing football. It's not only the physiology, but it's also the decision-making in football and getting really ready to start when we start at the 22nd. And knowing we're going to the other side of the world, that takes a couple of days too. It's 2 days of traveling. You can't start training straight away because we first have to beat the jet lag. So we really need that time to get prepared. So I just hope that we keep going with the good conversations and we can solve this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Phil.
Sarina, Phil Medicott from PA. I was just wondering if there's anything more you can say at this point about warm-up fixtures, where we're at with that in terms of, I don't know, when possibly, who against exactly?
Yeah, that's the reason why we can't tell anything about that. It has to do with when we can start. If we can start the 90, we have enough days to get ready for such a game. But if we start later, then the players are even longer out for football, and then you have too short time to get ready for a fixture. So I just hope we can do that and play that fixture. But I can't say anything about that now.